Chelsea are stepping up talks to sign Alejandro Garnacho from Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano tweeted yesterday that club-to-club discussions with Man United are now well underway, and that Garnacho obviously only wants Chelsea. We've been knowing this for a while. Personal terms are already agreed, and the two clubs are in negotiation over a fee. Man United are reported to be asking for around £50 million. Chelsea only want to go for around £30 million. So there's still quite a big difference. There's a gap in interests right now from the two clubs. Not from the club and the player. That's all sorted on both sides. United want to get rid of him. Chelsea want to sign him. Garnacho wants to go to Chelsea. It's just about getting that fee agreed. It does give me the impression that I do think that the transfer fee will probably have a lot of installments and a lot of add-ons and bonuses. Chelsea will probably want to minimise the amount of money they're spending now on Garnacho because they still want to get Shavi Simmons done and potentially even a new centre-back because of Levi Cole's injury and maybe even going for Donnarumma. There's no real interest as of right now for the keeper, but that's always one to keep your eye out for. But let's be honest, Garnacho is going to be joining Chelsea. It says here, Garnacho expected to become Chelsea player this summer. Garnacho has also said to Man United, it's Chelsea or nothing. If you don't sell me to Chelsea, I'll stay, but I won't play for 12 months. That's what's also been reported. Garnacho really wants Chelsea, and I think it's going to happen because Chelsea really wants Garnacho, and when Chelsea want a player, they usually go and get him. Now, I've always said, I don't think we need Garnacho. I don't really want Garnacho. I will be happy if we sign him, though, purely from the fact that there's been times in the past where I've been unhappy with signings, or I've been like, why did we sign him? We didn't need to get him. We could have gone for someone else. Main example being this time 2 years ago, Cole Palmer on deadline day signing for Chelsea Football Club. It had been gassed for a long time by Fabrizio Romano as Chelsea were planning this secret signing, and it was all going to be like a big thing. And there were even rumours about Phil Foden, because we're obviously hearing that it was a Man City player, an attacker. Ended up being Cole Palmer, and we were all a bit underwhelmed. Let's be honest, we were all a bit underwhelmed. But that's the thing, he's now our best player, and he's been our best player for 2 seasons, since he joined pretty much. So I'm not going to doubt these directors. I mean, it's confusing because we've already signed a winger and another player who can play on the wing, and we're still trying to sign Shavi Simmons, who for me is a player I would prioritise over Garnacho. But it seems like we're trying to be both at the same time. Shavi Simmons has slowed down in the past few days, but Fabrizio Romano does state that his priority is still Chelsea. So I'd probably expect both players to join. That creates a lot of problems for me because, we have so many wingers. That means we have to loan out Tyreek George or just sell him permanently because he's going to want game time at this stage of his development. It's a very interesting question about Pedro Neto. What happens to Pedro Neto? He was our best player at the Club World Cup. So he obviously wants to start. Gittins, the new signing, will want to start. Garnacho is not joining to sit on the bench. He was one of the players who played the most games. I know he didn't start a lot all the time, but he played the second most games behind Bruno for Man United last season. He is not going to want to leave that to join a team where he's playing less. Obviously, he'll have to sacrifice something, but he won't want to just be on the bench all the time. And obviously, João Pedro will probably be a striker now. We've seen how good he can play there. But yeah, then Shavi Simmons obviously as well will be in there. Cole Palmer even can play on the wing, but I don't think we'll be able to put him there. I think Cole Palmer now is just going to be playing in the 10 spot, and I might even be missing out a winger or two. There's that many. So it's an interesting dilemma now for Maresca. It's a good one. It's a good dilemma because people always criticise how many players Chelsea have, but it's depth at the end of the day, and depth is so important at this stage, especially when we've got Champions League football. It's so important. And I mean, we have also lost wingers as well, like Mudryk, obviously we lost him a while ago. Sancho has left as well, he's left the club. And obviously Tyreek George, if he leaves, will also be a vacant spot. So that's 3 wingers that we're going to be getting off our books. Madueke as well we've sold. And I know Nkunku can't play on the wing or doesn't really play on the wing, but he will also go, which will accommodate more minutes for those attacking players like Cole Palmer and will allow for him to just stay in that natural 10 position. So it's a good problem for Maresca to sort out. It's going to be a tough one because there's the big names, all of them, they're all good players. They're all going to want to start. But they are kind of signing up for this. When they sign for Chelsea, when a player like Garnacho signs for Chelsea, he can't expect to be given this right to start over Gittins, to start over Neto, to start over Shavi Simmons if we sign him. Because no, because Chelsea's a club who doesn't care right now, doesn't care if you're a big name, it cares about if you perform. In Kunku, we saw how he wasn't performing, we sold him. Jackson had a good first year, dropped off a little bit in the second, he's going to go now most likely, and you'll be replaced. There's no time for you to slack off or, put your feet up. You always have to be on your toes when you're at Chelsea Football Club and when you're a player at Chelsea Football Club, especially if you're in an attacking role. Because Chelsea switch around attacking players like it's nothing. And we'll continue doing that. And we get criticism for that a lot. I personally am a fan. I don't think we can, afford to waste years and seasons just because we build, emotional connections with some of these players like Jackson, who a lot of fans love, and me included. I love Jackson. I wish it worked out for him. But look, the fact of the matter is we don't really want to be waiting around years and years for these guys to potentially develop into the player we thought they could develop into and risk them not doing so. We need to just continuously be, looking for upgrades and learning from our mistakes. And yes, these players also deserve time, but if you can't perform now, don't expect to be starting, is what I'm going to say, week in, week out. Garnacho has to know that. And Garnacho is a player who, another thing is that he's clearly, got some sort of attitude issues. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that because I don't know the guy personally, but from what we've seen at United, it's his boyhood club and he's thrown his toys out the pram completely this season. Obviously, his dad as well on social media, liking posts, criticising the club. And it's fine, you can do that, but I'd rather not have that in my dressing room in my club. So if Garnacho joins, I hope, we can get rid of that. Obviously, United's a very toxic club at the moment, so hopefully Garnacho doesn't feel like he has to do or say the things he says about United at Chelsea or do the things he does. But, he really wants this move, so I don't think he's going to join and then just after one season be like, I haven't been played as much as I wanted to, or the manager's shit, all this stuff, like, I should have played in this and that game and I want to leave. No, I don't think he'll do that. But, it is always a prospect with a player like Garnacho. Now, Fabrizio Romano, a couple of hours ago, tweeted, Chelsea maintain contacts active for Shavi Simmons among main targets while they also negotiate for Garnacho. So like I said, it's not really like we're prioritising anyone at this moment. It's sort of we're trying to get both deals done at the same time. Shavi Simmons has obviously been a deal we've been trying to get done for weeks now. And it looked really likely to start. Now, some people may be saying it's not so likely. I don't think it's got less likely. I just think it's stagnated a little bit. We're just trying to find that fee. A bit like with Garnacho. The players want to join. It's just about the clubs now. And because Chelsea is a club who spends a lot on a lot of players, clubs now think they can overinflate prices for us or have overinflated prices for us. And look, Todd Bowley's a businessman. He knows how to do business, and the staff he's hired, he knows and they know how to get the best deals for Chelsea. So they're not just going to be allowed to be played around. They're not going to just pay the money that Leipzig are asking for because he wants to get this deal done quickly. No, he's being patient, and I don't mind that. The two topics remain separate as always reported, and Xavi's priority remains Chelsea. Discussions ongoing again this week with Leipzig. So it's a bit of a nothing tweet from Fabrizio. He does this a lot where he just kind of repeats what he said 2 days ago just to kind of tweet for the sake of it. It's a bit annoying, but look, I mean, at least we know that it's still on and it's still a priority for Chelsea and for the player. Because there was a bit of a worry where Shavi Simons was called up to the Leipzig squad for pre-season friendly. That's, most of the time, or not most of the time, but it can be an indicator that the player will be staying for the season, because if they're playing in pre-season, a lot of the time that means that their head's at the club. I don't necessarily think that must be the case in this instance, but you never know. But anyways, that's all really on those two players. I think they'll both end up joining, honestly. I think Garnacho and Shavi Simmons will both join, and we'll see how that pans out for the club. But again, it's not really my issue to solve. Maresca's going to have to find the best way to accommodate everyone. And I think he'll do that. He has dealt with big squads in the past, and he'll deal with one this season again. And again, I think it will bring more good than harm. I think the depth will be so useful for Europe. And we've seen clubs have injury issues like your Arsenals, like your Real Madrids, because of their thin squads. You know, the same clubs and fans that criticize us and berate us for these big squads when they're not really big. They just include players who've loaned out and they're in the academy who made one appearance. But, you know, those are the same fans that cry out for more depth when their best centre-back gets injured for a while, or their striker, or their midfielder. So, look, I will not change my squad for any of yours, Real Madrid or Arsenal in particular, you know, Man City, these clubs. I will not change my squad for yours. If you wouldn't, you know, do the same, if you wouldn't change your squad for mine, that's perfectly fine. Keep your squad, honestly. But, yeah, I completely forgot, sorry, when I was mentioning wingers earlier, I completely forgot about Esteval. You know, obviously he started in the friendly against Bayer Leverkusen and scored, and then he came off the bench against AC Milan, won a penalty there. So he's probably been one of our brightest players in pre-season. He's shown that he can quickly just adapt to the new league. Well, not to the new league, but to the new stadium, atmosphere, country, to the new club as well, to his teammates. He's going to have game time. I'm sorry, he just is. And that is one player. I'm sorry, I know I said like just literally 5 minutes ago that to start, you need to perform week in, week out, and you can never put your feet up. Esteval, for me, is the player who genuinely, I don't think he can put his feet up. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think he can be allowed to have a bad performance here and there because the guy's 17 or 18. And the potential that's there is so, like, worth it that we can just go through one rough season where he's just maybe adapting to the league, to the pace of it all. Where he might only play like 25 games and he might not get that many goals or assists, but it'll be worth it. Trust me with this guy. He will be worth it. So that is a player who we will have to give minutes to. Obviously, we've also got Raheem Sterling, who, let's be real, is going to leave. He has to leave. Honestly, I'd sell him for like 5 mil at this point. But yeah, apart from that, to be honest, we don't even have that many wingers. I mean, Pedro Neto, like I said, Esteval, Tyreek George and Gittins are the ones that are at the club now. If we get Xavi Simons and Garnacho and sell Tyreek George or loan him out, that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wingers at the club. So I don't think it's that bad. And I don't think it's, again, a problem that will pose harm to the squad. Again, it's good competition. It's healthy competition. But yeah, a little bit more on about the Donnarumma thing. Look, Chelsea, there's not much to say here. Chelsea are not really interested in him. But what we do know is that Donnarumma wants to leave PSG. Whether it be this summer or whether it be next summer when he leaves on a free, when his contract's up, the relationship's gone. I don't know why, I don't know how, I haven't really looked much into it because Chelsea aren't that interested. So I know usually if a Chelsea player's interested, I'll look a little bit more into it. But Chelsea haven't really shown interest. We know that there's been a fallout in the relationship between Donnarumma and PSG. Genuinely, I have no idea why. I can't make up any guess because he was one of their key players last year. So I can't really put my finger on it. I think it was to do with wage issues. I think that's what it was. I think Donnarumma wanted a new contract with a pay rise. PSG didn't want to give him that pay rise, which is weird. But again, it's not our business really. We don't really know what's going on there. But look, he's a player who I'd love at Chelsea. Let me be honest. I've given Robert Sanchez his praise and his criticisms. I think he's done more good than bad from this last season. I'll stand by that. I think he's helped us more than he's cost us. But I do think Donnarumma is a player who, if you can get for 30, even 40 million, his contract's running up, you have to get him, bro. You have to. He's still a keeper in his prime. He's actually young for a keeper. He's like 26, 27 maybe. And you just have to. You have to go get him. Like, you saw him last season. He wins clubs, Champions Leagues. He's that type of keeper that takes you from a team that's contending to a team that's winning things, you know? And I know Robert Sanchez got one over him in the Club World Cup final, but look, in the Champions League, look, Donnarumma was one of their key players in the penalty shootout against Liverpool, making some huge saves against Arsenal. Didn't have to do much in the final, let's be honest, but he was there in the run to it. So Donnarumma is a player who I 100% go to, especially when Fabrizio Romano says that Premier League is the most likely destination for him. We should love and want to take him off one of our rivals, like an Arsenal. I don't know why Arsenal would want him. Like even Man City, they signed Trafford, but like a Liverpool maybe. Wait, actually, now I'm thinking about it. What Premier League club would even sign him? Because Arsenal have Raya, they're happy with him. City have just signed Trafford. Liverpool have Alisson and Mamadas, really. I think it might actually just be between Chelsea and Man United. And Chelsea right now is a much more, attractive place to go to. I don't think Barca can afford it. I think the reason why Chelsea aren't jumping straight onto this is because of the wages. Donnarumma is leaving PSG because he's not getting paid what he wants, which will be a lot. And look, I think he deserves to demand that pay because for me, he's probably the best keeper in Europe, if not one of. That's a given. But Chelsea, obviously, their wage structure is not to pay players high wages. It's to pay players a decent amount. Obviously, it's still high. These are football players at the end of the day. But then giving them bonuses depending on performances to sort of, add an incentive to win trophies. It's smart. But obviously, it can be a downside when players like Donnarumma, who demand these wages straight up, are saying, that's the one thing that's, turning them off joining Chelsea. But look, that's one to obviously keep your eye out for. Chelsea, we never know. It's an unpredictable club, unpredictable desires. One day they'll be focusing on a winger, then they'll go for a centre-back, then suddenly keeper's available, let's go for a keeper. One day they'll be happy with Sanchez, next day they might not. It's happened before. So, yeah, that's the end of the video. That's all the news that's, been happening. Sorry I haven't been uploading as much recently. I'm just waiting for the season to start, to be honest. There's not really been much stuff going on. Chelsea hasn't signed anyone in a while. Elsewhere in the league, there's not been much. We're hearing Tottenham are doing some big business, to be fair, signing Savinho, and then City might be getting Rodrigo in. Nothing really that advanced about both deals. It's just kind of still back and forth between clubs. But if anything huge happens, I'll be bringing you a video about it. And yeah, obviously, when the Prem starts, you can just expect video after video. I'm going to be trying to go hard this year. I'm going to be going ham. And yeah, this is going to be a big year for the channel. And I hope that you'll be in on it with me. But yeah, thank you very much. And I'll see you in a bit.